the bottom. This part is important, all right? And I want you to think about this as you write this on Thursday. In your personal statement, you will show your character and your values as a human being. Okay? Your personal statement should demonstrate traits that show that you have what it takes to be at their university, even when things get difficult. If your personal statement that you write does not have these components, you need to really reevaluate your life. Some of you are 17, 18 years old. Some of you, you can get pregnant already. No, pues la verdad nada me ha pasado. ¿Cómo de que no? Algo te ha de ver de pasar, right? Algo. No, la verdad nunca he batallado con nada. ¿Cómo de que no? You can bear children. Come on, yes you can. Struggle, right? I'm sure you struggled with something. If you have not thought about it, you have 48 hours to think about it. Okay, 48 hours. Let's turn the page. Now, these are some components for the structure. Remember, you need to have a challenge, a conflict, or a struggle. You also need to explain how you demonstrated resilience in this situation. Then you're going to walk us through the way that you adapted or you changed. And I'm going to highlight this part here because this is the part that is going to basically be the heart of your paper. Te voy a decir que si you do not have in your personal statement a conflict that you have actually shown resilience towards, if you don't have a personal statement, right, where you have adapted or changed, and it doesn't have to be a literal change. It can be a change of perspective, a change in mentality, and I'm going to name that for you, okay? It can be a change in perspective, a change of mentality. Maybe you change the way that you see things. Or maybe your change is literal. Maybe you stopped talking to someone. Maybe you started being more organized. Maybe you did X, Y, or Z. Like literally, you did something, okay? But maybe you didn't do anything. Maybe your change was up here. Maybe your change was in here. Pero debe de haber un cambio. Y el cambio debe de ser positivo. ¿Sí me explico? Para algo positivo. No, pues es que la persona siempre batallo con esa persona, con mi hermana porque me cae bien gorda. And that's my struggle. Pero I changed, ¿verdad? I changed. I rebuked her. I prayed about it, and now I just ignore her. That was my change. Come on. Is that what you want to tell the university? That now you just ignore the problem? Is that showing something really cool about you as a human? No. The problem, and I say this with all due respect, some of you are going to realize that you have problems that you're doing absolutely nothing about. So you got to fake it. The good thing is that we're starting now and you're turning it in next year. You have until next year to figure out how you're going to change that problem if that's the problem you want to talk about. No, ma'am, I'm not going to talk about that problem. Oh, okay, órale, pues write about racism entonces. Ay, no, ma'am. Pues no tienes un problema que has cambiado a lo positivo. A ver, talk about feminism. No, ma'am, tampoco. Okay, I don't know, talk about the Yemen crisis then. No, I don't want to talk about that. Just what are you going to talk about? You got to write about something. A ver, what unique opportunity do you have? No, pues I don't have a unique opportunity. No, hombre. Pues, ¿qué eres? ¿Quién eres? Why are you breathing? You following me? Yeah. I gotta ask yourself. That change, guys, that's gonna be important. Did you adapt or change in a way that is gonna demonstrate good traits about you? Y te voy a decir la verdad, for some of you, some of the topics that you have and that you wanna talk about, this actual assignment might even be the assignment that serves as a catalyst for you to sit here and ask yourself, like, maybe I should look at the way that X, Y, and Z happens in a different way. Maybe I should look at things differently, right? Maybe I should treat it differently. Maybe I should, whatever the case may be. I hate my stepdad. He treats my mom like crap all the time. I feel bad for my mom. They're always fighting. She gets mad at me. She's hard on me, but it's not my fault that he's mean to her. He's cheating and I just don't like him. I don't get along with him. Perfect. So how have you adapted or changed? Well, I haven't. Okay, well maybe it's about time you start at least looking at your stepfather in a different way. Stop being mad at mom because she's weak. She's not weak. She's a human being. Make sense? You don't have to do anything different. Maybe you just have to look at the person that you love that hurts you in a different way. Does that make sense? And maybe you've never done it before. And maybe now you're just like, okay, maybe I am being a child about whatever. Maybe I should look at it differently. Maybe I should look at my mother, and maybe give her credit for staying in a relationship that sucks. Because if it sucks for me as a kid, imagine having to be the person that dates that guy. Give my mom credit. I love her for it. I'm inspired now. Does that make sense? Pero si no lo estás viendo de ninguna manera diferente, so I don't know, maybe now's your time. This is your coming to Jesus moment. Like, okay. There's this problem that I dealt with. I struggled with blah, 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 right? My grandpa died, and I really struggled with the guilt. It was just really hard to get through it. I missed him, and I felt like I could have done more, and it really impacted me, but I pushed through anyways. Okay, how'd you change? How'd you adapt? Well, I told you that I pushed through. I did all my homework and stayed for Frank's tutorials. Okay, no. I'm passing Frank's class. That was my change. No. Your grandpa died, and it messed you up. What is the change? You got to see life differently now. No. Now I think about life, yes, in a different way. That is my change. Then now I value life. I value time. I value people. And I know that grandma or grandpa was first, and I know that mom is next. I know that dad is next. I know that my siblings, I only have, 4 or 5 more years that I can wake up next to them. Maybe I just always fight with my brother or my sister, but they're going to leave eventually. Makes sense? They're going to have their own family. And then guess what? Are they going to spend their Christmases with you? No. Their vacations with you? No. So when you go on vacation, estás toda amargada en el teléfono? Okay. My sister's so annoying. My brother is just so dumb. Like, everybody loves my brother. I don't want nobody. My mom and my dad, like, they pay more attention to my brother than they do to me. I don't know why. It's just so annoying. Do you love your brother? Yes. You need to stop being annoying because your brother has like 2-3 more years in that home, and then he's gonna be gone forever. And God forbid your brother ends up with a psycho woman, because you will never see your brother, that woman, or their children ever again. So how about you start to bring a change to the class? Makes sense? My change is that now I will appreciate my brother. Does that make sense? You gotta have a change. You have to. You have to. Okay? Now, you're gonna end with that universal statement that says this is a new thing that I understand about the world. Now, dialogue. This one's going to be a big one. You're going to use dialogue. You're going to use figurative language. Don't tell me, instead, show me. Don't tell me about that one time that you woke up really upset because your mom and your stepdad were fighting all night. Take me to that moment. Does that make sense? Paint a picture for me. Take me to that. Yes? Are you guys okay? Coolness. Let me read you something. Yes? Yes. I'm going to read you some examples. I'm not going to give you the examples because these are students, like I was sharing with Ms. Olvera. There are students, actual students, and I don't want you to have access to their private life in that manner, but I do want to give you the opportunity to read their papers. Give me 1 second. Oh, I hate these. We can only use wait, where's the one? Oh, there you go. I got it. All right, here you go. I'm going to read you 2 examples. One where you say, and another where you show what happened. Okay? So here you go. When you were born in the United States, but you have lived in Mexico all of your life, what do you classify yourself as? Society calls you a Mexican American or a güero, but internally, you know it's deeper than that. When in the mornings you have to sing the Mexican national anthem or the Pledge of Allegiance, that is when you realize you are an outcast. You are told you don't belong there, or at least they make you feel that way, and you think you have to choose a nation because then if you don't, you're considered a traitor. But that is wrong. Now I know I can be as much American as Mexican, and that is fine. In fact, it is more than fine. It makes me special, and it just enriches my cultural perspective of who I am by making myself a global citizen. Share briefly with the person next to you, what are your thoughts so far on that beginning? All right, let's continue. Growing up in Mexico was really tough. My community has this idea rooted in their minds that if you were born poor, you will stay poor. That if you are not part of the elite or the haves, that you have no influence or power whatsoever to change your community. I've always dreamt big from a young age. I saw myself making an impact in my community by being a leader and taking initiative to help those that are less fortunate. Although it may sound easy to help others, my journey, was full of discouragements. My own friends and family thought that I was exaggerating and dreaming with something that I would never have. You understand what the conflict is here, in some way. Okay, cool. I told him I didn't like it. Yeah, I didn't like it. He wrote it like 5 times. Here's the next one. This one's a little bit better. It's still not better at all. In fact, the other one, I hated it. All right, here we go. It is summer, and I can feel the sweat running from my forehead to my nose, and how the rays of the sun kiss my skin through the window of the car as my family and I are going over to buy some ice cream. On our way to the shop, I am looking outside the window, and all I see is an endless path of trees next to the road. Once we arrive at the ice cream shop, my mouth gets watery, my thoughts get lost in the cold valley of infinite ice cream flavors. What can I get for you, buddy? I overhear, but my mind is thinking of all the different possibilities that I can't focus on one. Same as always, please. Same as always is plain vanilla with a cake cone. And I've been ordering this since I have any use of memory. One of the new employees says to me, "Really? Out of the 105 flavors we have, you want vanilla?" That is when it got to me. What if I get spontaneous and try something new? Wait! I want to try something new. I'll have some chocolate ice cream in a waffle cone. I know, not very original, right? It was delicious. I can't believe I missed this my whole life. Although chocolate is not a drastic change from vanilla, it represents a new beginning in my life. I lick the ice cream cone and I foresee all the new adventures awaiting me in a not very distant future. My freshman year of high school was just a few weeks away. Days and hours passed like a lightning bolt in front of me, and all I can think of is, OMG, I'm attending a new school. Finally, it got here, the first day of school. And as I walk down the suffocating halls of the new school, all the faces are unknown, like all the ice cream flavors I've never tried before. At that moment, I travel back in time to the ice cream shop. The halls seem endless, just like the trees on my way there. And my classmates are all the unexplored flavors. Where the school was a shop and my teachers are the employees. He legit explained the metaphor. At first, I was nervous until I remembered, what if, when one of my teachers talked about the importance of being involved in community service and extracurricular activities. That was my year. I was determined to learn the language, their culture, their traditions, to try new sports and play new instruments. Blah, blah, blah. Share with your partner briefly, what are your thoughts on that one? Do you see the difference though? Yeah. This one has dialogue. Yeah. This one actually explains things, like they paint a picture. It sounds like the student was doing what I said. They gave dialogue. They had similes and metaphors and imagery. They did the whole show me, don't tell me, and they also used syntax in their favor. But did anything make sense? Honestly, did you like it?
No.
JP didn't like it. Man. All right. Let's go for the next draft. I'm reading you draft 5, by the way. Here we go. ¿Ya estás listo? Are you ready? It is August 16, 2016, and the clock marks 4 a.m. as my alarm begins to ring. This is my first day of school in the United States. I felt like a different person using my new green uniform shirt. Because for 10 years as a student in Mexico, I was used to a plain white uniform shirt. But the green, slimy-looking shirt was too colorful for my taste, if I'm honest. My dad shouted as I grabbed my backpack to head out that morning. I went to the location called Las Rolas and found the commercial-looking white van that crossed the border from Mexico to the U.S., transporting people like myself to their destination. I approached nervously, waiting to meet the van driver. And when I reached the school, I asked the driver as I got off, where do I go? And he said, sigue las camisas verdes, those darn green shirts. I became overwhelmed with a large crowd as I began to hear them speak in English and move quickly through the halls. Not knowing how the U.S. school system worked, I followed the crowd into the building. There were many rooms in the building and I had no idea where to go, so I went to the nearest room I found. It was the wrong class, I learned. I was supposed to pick up a schedule. I didn't have one. I don't know where I'm supposed to be. Why? Someone asked. No entiendo inglés. They spoke with the teacher and said, este no entiende inglés. Do you know where you're supposed to be? The teacher asked me. My ears felt red and flushed. They felt like they were burning, and I felt a rush of humiliation. No, I don't, I admitted sadly. I'm escorted to the front office to get my schedule, and they explained to me how the schedule works and how I follow it. And of course, I go to the wrong class again. All right, share with the person next to you, what are your thoughts on this draft? You'll find an actual conflict, but does the student tell you what the conflict is?
No.
They don't tell you they're what? They're showing you that there's a conflict. Pero no te dicen cuál es el problema. But are they showing you how they're reacting to the conflict?
Yes.
And they're also showing you how they are navigating through the conflict. Porque a poco se rajó el alumno. No. He went to the nearest room and was like, I don't know where I'm going, help me. And he admitted, yeah, I don't know where I'm going. And he listened, and he still went to the wrong class again. But he did it. Are you following me? Okay. Homework is my next challenge. Just kidding. Yeah. My AP Human Geography teacher gave us a lot of homework. I did not know how to read it. I didn't understand anything. Do you notice how those short sentences, syntax, long sentences and short sentences for the effect? Use short sentences. Okay, it has an effect. There's more voice. Does that make sense? Cool. I spent the whole day translating everything in Google. The first week was the same, the second week was the same, and I just wanted to cry, and I did. And then I met a teacher from Michigan that told me she needed to practice her Spanish. So we practiced together. She took me under her wing, and the whole year, she was the only person who talked to me in Spanish. Today, in retrospect, I think about it, and I'm grateful I did not leave that school. I'm grateful I didn't give up on learning the foreign language, especially when, to be honest, I was dying just to give it all up. Helping the teacher learn Spanish was my motivation, like that small light at the end of my day. It gave me purpose. And after interacting with her, it was obvious that her Spanish, like my English too, in the end had gotten better. And that made me feel really good about who I was. Learning English took me more than a year, but understanding English took me a little bit less, about 6 months. And every day, I added new words to my vocabulary. And although I still struggle with pronunciation, I'm confident sorry, I was reading the rest. So, share with your person next to you. What are your thoughts so far? So, the rest of the paper, the student walks us through something in particular. You think the struggle is coming to the United States, not knowing anybody, not knowing the culture, the language, the people, anything. You think that's the struggle, right? That's what I thought. Well, what's the change? How do you adapt? Well, I learned English. Congratulations. Does that make sense? That's what we think. But that's not actually the change or that new understanding. That's not it. The new understanding for this student was that in doing all of that, what made him feel good was being able to what? Teach her Spanish. So predict with the person next to you. What new understanding does this student walk away with based off his challenge? What motivates him now? Wanting to learn English? Ahora, te voy a decir algo. El problema no es que no sabía el lenguaje. And he tells you in the rest of the paper, el problema era that he felt worthless. That's the problem. Confidence, self-esteem. I don't feel good about myself. And even though I adapted and I changed and I learned the language, I still didn't feel good about myself. It wasn't until I realized that I actually made a difference in the life of somebody else that I felt good about who I was. And that's where I found my calling. I'm meant to help people. And now I feel good about who I am. So you think the challenge is coming here and learning the language, but the challenge really is, how do I deal with not knowing who I am, what I am, my identity? What do I like about myself? What am I good at, right? What makes me feel good, like a good human? I feel worthless. And I didn't even know I felt worthless until I didn't feel worthless. Does that make sense? You don't know that you don't feel good about yourself until you're like, oh, that feels really good. Oh crap, I felt pretty crappy about myself this whole time, I guess, because I've never felt this way. And that was his issue. Pero no se dio cuenta que él se sentía de esa manera hasta que él no se sintió como que, wow, like, I made a difference for her. Like me, la persona que no va aquí, la persona que está perdida, la persona que no sabe el lenguaje, la persona que no conoce a nadie, que no tiene amigos. Me, I did something for someone else. Somebody that's educated, somebody with a degree, somebody different.
Attention chargers, it is 5:24. Please release all students to the front for parent pickup or school, after-school busing. Again, it is 5:24. Please release all students. Teachers, please lock your doors. Make sure that your room is secure before you head out. Thank you and have a great afternoon.
All right, I hope that in our discussion you were able to have some idea in your mind that lingers. We didn't get a chance to finish, but that's okay. I was happy that I was able to go through those examples with you, and so that you can see for yourself what it is, right? When I say don't tell me, instead what? Show me. Take me to that morning when your alarm rang and you had to cross. Don't tell me you didn't know English and you came here in 9th grade. Take me to that bus right here. Walk me through your interaction with a Border Patrol agent. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Coolness.